Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing really well today. It is Wednesday the 3rd of February and it is currently day 3 of my daily vlogs. So if you don't know, I'm filming every single day this week, showing you all of the behind the scenes of what I do as a teacher working in a secondary school in London in the UK. But I'm currently working from home, so I thought it would be really interesting to show you what I get up to, how I do all of my lesson planning, my marking, all of the admin, etc. So if you haven't subscribed yet, then please do subscribe to the channel and let me know where you're from and what you're currently doing, and also if you've got any questions for me about what I do. So I've had a fairly slow start to the morning today, and I actually just wanted to sit down and have a really open and honest conversation about having days like this, because chances are, no matter what job you're in, you're always going to wake up at some point over the next few weeks and not really feel your best self and not really feel up to delivering the best quality of work that you normally do or that you want to do. And I think that's absolutely fine. I think we need to find some kindness, within ourselves to be accepting of days like that and of moments like that. And today, to be honest, that's been me. I've woken up today and I just haven't felt that amazing. I had a little bit of a headache. I was just experiencing a little bit of low mood, low energy, and I just needed to take a couple of hours to myself and just have a slow start to the morning, which fortunately, working from home, we have the luxury to do that because I can get out of bed a little bit later than normal. I don't have to, physically get to school. And I think that is a wonderful thing, and I'm so grateful for that. But equally, I do know that there are certain expectations that we have of ourselves that we need to make sure that we still complete all of the work that we've got to do in that day. And this morning I was certainly feeling that pressure that, I should get on with my work or else it's going to pile up, and then I'm not going to be in a great place tomorrow when I have to do all of the work that I had to do this morning. So I think it's something that's really, really important to talk about, and I wanted to take some time today to address this. It was interesting that when I wake up today, I was thinking about how I love to share this type of content, but also I didn't want to make anyone feel that they are not good enough, because I think the danger with seeing and learning about what other people do is this idea of comparing yourself, and inevitably what happens is maybe you start to question, is what I'm doing good enough? Is this the right thing? Is this high quality? Is this high standard? And I think I just really want to encourage, if you do feel this way, to just step away from thinking in that style. And I'm also trying to remind myself to not think in that way, because it is so difficult when we get bombarded with all of this type of content and we have all of these ideas and all of these things we want to try, and to suddenly feel like, sometimes a bit like a fraud, like, gosh, am I able to do my job? Is this good enough for what other people are doing right now? And I think it's really, really important to just remind yourself that you don't have to be amazing and you don't have to be on it and perfect and such high quality every single day. I think it's perfectly acceptable to have certain fluctuations and to have days where you're not feeling the best and that you're not feeling as productive or as capable or as creative. And the reason for that is we are all humans, and I think it's really important to find some kindness within yourself, to find some honesty, and to just reflect and to take a moment and to say, this is what I'm capable of doing today, and that is more than good enough. So if you're having one of those days, or if you're not, maybe pause this video and come back to it when you are. Because I'm just going to share with you how I tackle a day like this, how I still try to find some quick wins and quick things that I can do to not fall too behind, but also to find some time within the day so that I can rest and regain a little bit of energy and just find a little bit of breathing space to get back to my normal self. I also wanted to quickly address something about the realities of working as a teacher. The nature of the job just requires you to be putting up this front all of the time, because you've got classes that you need to be in front of, you've got students who are, relying on you and depending on you, but also you've got colleagues who are doing the same. They need you to show up and to do your end of the bargain so that, ultimately things can still continue to work. And it's unlike many other jobs, because we are constantly juggling plates all the time, and it's not like you can just pause something and then come back to it. A lot of what we do on a daily basis is under that urgent, box, urgent and important all of the time. And I think this is something to be really mindful of, because as much as things might feel urgent, and certainly they are, I'm not taking that away from what the job is, a lot of the time we can just shift our perspective and to start to think about, can that wait? Is that absolutely necessary to do right now? And I think it's this sort of thinking that is really important to have when you're feeling this way, when you're feeling overwhelmed, or when you're feeling that you can't be bothered. And I think it's a really important shift to make in your thought process, so that you can try to find that breathing space that I'm talking about. I also just wanted to quickly mention something that I've noticed about how teachers tackle this feeling. I think on the one hand, a lot of teachers try so hard to be really, really productive, efficient, on the task all the time. They try to be their best, teacher self, try to be super creative, innovative, such go-getters. And then on the flip side, if that all sort of collapses, then I find that people feel overwhelmed, tired, exhausted, and it can end up, making people complain and whine and moan about things, and just creates a sort of like negative atmosphere. And I think it's really important to try to find some balance in that, and to almost recognize that sort of shifting towards that first one that I described, of this perfectionist tendencies and like such, high quality, high standards all the time, can actually be really flawed. Because in a team of people, if you've got certain people who are like that, sort of this type A personality, it can actually hinder a lot of people in the team who are feeling very overwhelmed, because it can make them feel that they are not good enough and that they're not holding their end of the bargain. And that sort of element of comparison starts to creep in, and people start to feel a little bit unsettled. And so I think it's really important to try to find a happy balance, and especially working from home, where you're not in an office environment and you're not able to, quickly check in with people and share ideas just by speaking out loud, and just by seeing people. It's very difficult to, check those expectations and adjust them appropriately. So the reason why I'm telling you all of this is, I think it's just really important, and something I don't really hear people talk a lot about, is how do you manage those expectations? How do you stop comparing yourself? How do you readjust your expectations? And how do you just organize your time so that it matters to you, so that the things that are important to you get done, and that you're then able to try and find a work-life balance in a way that is meaningful to you. So I did want to talk about this because when I woke up this morning, there was a feeling of guilt, because I am guilty of having such high expectations of myself and of my colleagues. And I think it was really important for me to take a step back and to think a little bit more mindfully of what is a realistic expectation right now, and what work is acceptable. And I think it's really, really important to take that step back often, because the more times you do it, the more able you'll be to establish that balance that I was talking about. So that being said, let me just quickly talk you through what I did to get myself out of a rut from feeling really low this morning into somehow managing to get through the day, and what were my quick wins to make sure that it doesn't pile on for tomorrow. So the first thing is, when I woke up this morning, I just realized I needed a little bit more time in bed, and just a little bit of a chill, relaxed morning. So that's what I did. Made myself some coffee, relaxed, And then when it got to about 9:15, I managed to summon some energy to make myself some breakfast and to get ready for the day. So I think one of the most important things is to fuel your body with something fresh, and just, that gives you a little bit of energy, whatever that is. It can of course be some comfort food, but just try to give yourself a little boost of nutrition if you can, because I think that's going to make a difference in raising your mood. And of course, getting ready for the day is super important. So, do whatever that is for you. For me, it's spending a bit of time on my skincare and making sure that I get dressed. And I also think it's nice to look good and look presentable. So I think just spending 5-10 minutes on that is a game changer and lifts your spirits straight away, because then you don't look like a slob. The third thing then is just sort of like sitting down and taking a moment of silence just to check in. And this can of course be meditation if that's something that you do. It is something that I'm trying to build up to. But this morning I didn't do meditation. What I did was I just sat down with my journals and I just went through things, updated what I needed to update, had a little bit of a think of how I was going to structure my day, and then got started. So it was probably about 10 o'clock when I started my working day, and it started off with a meeting. So I had an hour-long meeting with my NQT, who I am currently mentoring. And then after that, I had a little bit of a break, got some tea, walked around the house, did a little bit of tidying. I find that maybe that's my fourth tip for you, is just make sure that your workspace, the environment that you're surrounded by, that is tidy. And if it is tidy or if it's clean, it just gives you a little bit of a lift. It gives you a little bit of a boost of energy. So I would definitely encourage you to do that. 5-10 minutes, not a big chore. And then I had a live lesson with my year 11 class from 11:30 to 12. And then I had another meeting starting at 12:30. So I had another 15-minute break, did the same thing again, sat a little bit on the couch, watched a little video, listened to some music, went onto Instagram, just sort of switched my mind off things. Had a meeting from 12:30 to 1:30, and that was a bit more of sort of like a heavy meeting. I had decisions to make, conversations to have about changing curriculum plans for science, because lockdown's not ending after half term, so we're going to need to continue to deliver all of the science curriculum remotely, so we had to just make some changes to that. At 1:30, I had an hour break. So from 1:30 to 2:30, I didn't need to do anything in particular. I had a live lesson at 2:30 with my year 13 students, and so that time from 1:30 to 2:30 was lovely. I decided to take it easy, had some lunch, made some fresh coffee, sorted through my emails, watched a little bit of YouTube, listened to some music. You get the deal. I think it's really important to just take a little bit of a moment, and actually I didn't work at my desk, I went to the couch, sort of relax a little bit, and that felt really nice. 2:30, had my live lesson with year 13, and it was a short one. I just explained to them that we were going to have a shorter live lesson, 15 minutes, got them on a task, they were happy, and that was it. And here I am. So I think it's about just pacing yourself in the day, short bursts of activity, regular breaks, changing up your workspace, making sure it's clean and tidy, and giving yourself treats every so often. Pavlov's theory always works. So yeah, I think that's sort of how I've been able to get out of a rut. It is there's still a little bit of daylight outside, and I want to make sure that I go for a little bit of a walk, fresh air, make a couple of calls to check in with some friends and relatives, just to, make that social contact. I think that's really important as well, to just reach out. And then the likelihood of what I'm going to do this evening is the following. 5 o'clock or 5:30, I've got my MA session, so I'm doing a Master's in Education. That is going to be an hour and a half. I am this close to cancelling and to not showing up, but I know that I should. Haven't done any of the reading for it. I feel massively behind with it, but I know that I should. So that's why I think I'm going to go for a walk, clear my head a little bit, come back, and then start it again. But you're seeing that pattern of like doing a burst of work, break, burst of work, break. Once the MA session is finished, I am just going to call it an evening. I haven't really done that much. I'm going to show you now sort of my to-do list and what I still have to do. But I think that's sort of a good way to approach it. And obviously if you've got any other suggestions, let me know, because I'm always curious to hear them. And of course, like treating yourself with things like this, right? Like whatever floats your boat. But that's how I got out of a rut today, and I am feeling pretty good right now. So there you go. Just going to update you then. So obviously you've seen my to-do list from the previous vlogs. You can always go back to those if you haven't seen them. This is Wednesday. This looks different to what it looked like on Monday. The reason for that is I've had to add a few things. So had my meeting this morning that was penciled in yesterday afternoon. I had the meeting that I just told you guys about. And again, that sort of looked a little bit heavier than normal. I've got all of these lessons tomorrow, so I've got a bit of a packed day, and I still have to prep them. So I'm just going to talk you through some quick wins of how I do that. But as far as my to-do list, you can see here that I'm still yet to update it, but I've got quite a few emails to get through, and my main priority is prepping Thursday's lessons. Okay, so how to tackle some of those things that, you know, seem to be cluttering your to-do list and you're just feeling a bit overwhelmed about it and you don't have a lot of time. The first thing I would probably say is emails. I think emails is very cluttery, so I would just go straight to your inbox, look at all of your emails and just start to delete the ones that you absolutely know you're not going to need. So just delete them, like get rid of them. And then I would say everything else that is there, who are the people that are the most important people to respond to? So if you see someone from your head of department or your line manager or anything that you know that is probably going to be important information, click on those, read them, and if there's an action, write that action down on a post-it note in your notebook, whatever that is, and archive that email, get rid of it so you don't see it. Then I would say, if you see anything from a parent or from a student, if it is something that you know just historically that those parents or that type of student is very needy or vulnerable or whatever, address them first. If it's anyone else, that can wait until tomorrow. Literally, it can wait for a couple of days. After that, I would just say close your inbox. It can wait a day. So if you're in a headspace where you feel like, right, I've seen if there's anything urgent, there isn't anything urgent, everything else can wait. So get that off your to-do list. I would then say that the second thing is that might be weighing you down is this lesson planning. So as much as we would want to lesson plan to the best of our abilities all the time, that's just not feasible. We can't be delivering outstanding lessons every single time. And also doing this remotely, we can't always be so innovative and so creative with trying all of these different resources for every single lesson. So pick something that you feel really comfortable with. Is that a PowerPoint? Is that a worksheet? Is that a pear deck? What is it? Is it a Loom tutorial? Whatever it is that you know, this is my most comfortable way of delivering a lesson. We all have it. We all have something that we fall back on. I would then say, find a resource that you yourself have used before, or find a resource that someone else has used. If you're trying to find resources, you can go onto TES, but for me personally, the best place is asking a colleague. You are part of a department, so just ask them. Every single class is being hopefully taught similar type of content. So if you're teaching a Year 9 class, something to do with this topic of plants, for example, then the other Year 9 teacher who is teaching the other Year 9 class should also be teaching that topic and should have also delivered that lesson. So that's a quick win there. So try to use the people around you and just ask for help. Just ask them, do you have a lesson for this topic that you wouldn't mind me using with my class? If you open it and it's not to the best of your standards or whatever that might be okay with that. It will be fine. It doesn't have to be outstanding. It's a quick win. You've got a lesson ready to go. That's it. If you're not in a position where that is possible, I would say that go back to the learning objectives and possibly go back to your medium-term plan. Is there a quick swap that you could do? So for example, with my year 13 lesson today and tomorrow, I realised that the prep was probably going to be 2 to 3 hours, and I just didn't have that time today to do that. So I decided to find something online, and I found this really great PowerPoint. It is not how I would deliver it, and I wish I had those 3 hours to put something together for them. But you know what? I just decided that is going to be more than fine for tomorrow. It is literally an hour and a half of their time. If it isn't perfect, that's okay. Next week we can consolidate. So I've decided to swap a couple of things, and so what I was going to do with them next week, I brought that forward for this week, and what I was going to do with them tomorrow, I postponed it for a week, and that way I'm using this resource that I found, and then they can just get on with that tomorrow, and that has saved me a job. The other thing, as an example, is tomorrow I see my year 11s. I also see that same class on Friday, and they were going to do a test on Friday, but I've just brought forward that test for tomorrow, which means then tomorrow I can plan Friday's lesson, and then I don't need to plan a lesson today for year 11, because then they just have to do the test tomorrow. So it's about looking at your medium-term plans and thinking, are there any quick wins here? Can I swap a particular lesson just to free up some time today? So that's another strategy that I use all of the time. Another thing with lesson planning is there might be a couple of resources like practice paper questions, online quizzes, posters, watching a video, really quick tasks where you just write the instructions and then you don't need to put together an actual lesson like PowerPoint or resource. And I think that's a really quick way of prepping a lesson to be delivered online. If you do have a live lesson, you can still do those things. You could have a live lesson in which maybe you're scheduled to teach them for 40 minutes. So maybe you teach them for the first 10 minutes of that lesson, giving them some instructions. They then go and they do those things that you ask them to do, and then they come back after 15 minutes and then you check in with them. Okay guys, so I know that this video is probably getting a little bit too long right now, and I just wanted to wrap things up by showing you how I am just going to finish off my working day by looking at what I've got to do tomorrow, so I can just quickly readjust the schedule for tomorrow so that I can catch up with the work that I've missed today. So the first thing is I just look at what I've got going on tomorrow and Friday, because tomorrow the likelihood is that I'll need to spend a chunk of time getting Friday ready. And what I do is I just reorganize it all and I write it all over again. So it looks like this. So I like to break down the time of the day so I can actually see when I've got time. And what I've noticed is, although it looks cluttered over there, that it's occupying the entire day, because I have moved that year 13 live lesson to be doing that PowerPoint that I mentioned earlier, I don't have to be doing that live lesson either way. So my day tomorrow is just work in the morning. I then have the rest of the afternoon free to catch up on some lesson planning work for Friday. Now, the only thing is that I have not prepared this Pear Deck elements review, and neither have I prepared this core practical theory lesson. So what I'm going to have to do today or tomorrow morning is to quickly prepare that. Now, quick win here. The Pear Deck elements review, I have already changed that from what they were going to be doing some revision on, because I know that Pear Deck has some template slides that I just need to click on, and they will be able to do the electronic configuration of those, and I think that's always a useful revision. They're also doing a test, so they're only going to be spending about 10-15 minutes doing that, so that shouldn't take me very long to prep. So if I've got time today, if not, I will do it in the morning there. This year 12 lesson is just going through some core practical theory. I was going to be doing this more teacher-led, but in light of today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set them off on a task. So what I will probably most likely do is prepare that during that break time there to just give me a bit of adrenaline to make sure that I get it finished. So that should take me about half an hour. And if I don't get it done, I will just post a little comment to ask them to join at 10:50 and just spend those first 10 minutes making sure that they do a bit of a retrieval or recall or something like that. And then the rest of the day, I'm going to prep Friday. So I've just rewritten Friday as well. And what I can see is Friday is a little bit heavier. Even though I've got a few little breaks throughout the day, I've got 3 lives, so I'll probably only be finished about late lunchtime. Now, you'll remember that I've got all of this marking to do, and that marking is going to be, fairly heavy on the workload. So my plan is tomorrow afternoon, prep all of Friday, see how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling good, finish off with the marking for year 10 and year 11, because those will be quicker, and then call it a day. And then on Friday, in the afternoon, I will start doing my A-level marking. And now if I will need to keep that going, most likely over the weekend and next week, that is just the reality of things. And this is what it looks like. So we go from that to a little bit of clarity. And I find this very, very useful. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found it useful, and I will see you here tomorrow. Take care. Bye.